humans. They're not lazy. They're not corrupt. They're not those who are looking for the path of least resistance. All of humanity has one thing in common that we have been discussing. In fact, yesterday, in my misspoken words, I said, I differentiate and link and I don't co-regulate. And then we had a whole episode on how we all co-regulate. So no human being out there is lazy, complacent, corrupt, that word evil, that the ones who are our 3D, 4D brothers and sisters, they're going to continue to stick around, wait for it. The less connected you are to what is objectively true, thank you, Neil deGrasse, the less likely you are able to make decisions that will benefit your life. My throat, let it clear up, okay? The life of your family, even civilization itself. So as Neil deGrasse points out, people who don't know what objective truth is, now yes, I am a mystic, and we're going to talk about the 5D collective and Archangel Michael, who is still coming to knock at my door, because that's how it works whether it's archangels or God, Jesus, Buddha, and the galactic beings, future, all of it, you name it. I got a bunch of future beings who came to me just, a week ago or something. So I was like, look, it's not time. Just wait for it, okay? I'll know when it's time. It's time, because, Archangel Michael, and someone's like, okay, I'm still here. So, bear with me. Find objective truths and communicate them to others effectively. Thanks, Neil deGrasse. I know you're teaching lovely people who appreciate your science and your very, very resourceful sense of humor. So, I love Neil deGrasse, and as he is doing amazing at proving the earth is round again, I'm also sure our lovely flat earthers continue to say, no, we're right and you're wrong. So, 3D, 4D, yes, please remember, emotionally immature people, they don't want to do the work, they do want to be loved. And as those who did tune in to relational integrity under pressure yesterday, and how we do co-regulate even when we are self-regulating and in the presence of a dysregulated nervous system. Okay, so this is the part. No energy vampires, no dark auras, no evil Knievel, no corrupt in a way of the polarized narratives of people who are not noticing that they're not their activated state. So their very strong emotions, emotional reactivity, is something they can actually work with, because we can anchor our own somatic resources thanks to owning the nervous system, and therefore you move into ventral energy. And that's I've got the power. The power of the 5D collective is we are an infinite source of energy that is love. And so from God to source to Akash, yes, you align, you apply, you activate that which is lovely God's love and or source Akash. So this love that you hear from those who are spiritual, not the bypassers, the spiritual ones who live a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self. And so I am able to go beyond that which is Maria's entire desire. We don't ever do my amygdala doesn't exist. So we're not oblivious to ourselves. That's why there's a solo self, a core self, a relational self, there's a bunch of different ways Dr. Daniel Siegel has informed me. Okay, so with your prefrontal, I can as objectively and as organized as possible, which I'm going to always make mistakes, explain to you how your first 3 years of life matter, and that survivor mode is really not the best place to be. It won't matter. The emotionally immature people follow around the epistemically lazy, polarized narrative individuals, and when they see spiritual ones who are very much able to handle their nervous system like this, I'm not my activated state, you see what I'm saying? So you anchor ventral energy because you choose integrity. So I'm not going to be ashamed of Maria, which is where the selfish thing comes in. So some people say humans are all corrupt, they're all selfish, they're all one-sided. Well, technically I can only experience my life from my body, and that means from my own solo self, relational self, inner self, interself, and basically, yes, everything I feel comes up first, and then obviously what I think. But as you get older, you think that you think first. And when you have images come up for the mystics, we're not confused, the 5D collective, because that's the part of what makes it different. For me to be able to tell you about all the stories, and to bring in Archangel Michael, who keeps knocking at my door without me leaving my body or any of that stuff, but also without me saying we need to prove spirituality. My left is a logical brain, my right is a funny brain, and they work together like a team. And when I'm channeling and downloading and I have the entire keep here with me, they have to wait their turns. So Archangel Michael is very insistent and I understood why. So anyways, that's how it works. So you organize your own lovely vessel, but we're going to talk a little bit about this and a little bit about that. If you're new, you don't know, I'm a 5D Mystic Mentor, content creator, podcast host, and we have journal prompts and mindset practices on PayHip for those of you who enjoy anchoring your ventral energy, so you have your somatic resources, sensations, images, behaviors, affects, and meanings up front. You know how to handle yourself. And it's not control. You have fun. So we move from the courageous and strong. We don't grow inner strength with our mental faculties, because our mental faculties involve mental activity, which is easy. I'm easily able to think because I'm easily able to feel, which means I'm easily able to stay safe inside my body and inside my head. I don't talk to myself like shit. I don't talk to others like shit. There's no inner critic, outer critic. So we're not endorsing, projecting. And that's why in the business environment, when I found out that there's this term that apparently is really popular in leadership training, I'm like, it's time for people out there. We're going to have an episode, not here, but on understanding minimum energy mode. So you mean deficit mindset, meaning a human being who doesn't know how to always stay on. Let's see, when you're always on, all this means is that I can consistently be self-aware, accountable, and regulate. I almost reacted, and then, oh yeah, my emotions, they're signals. They're not my sovereign rulers. My 3-year-old, she is amazing, and when she's angry in her butthole, we talk to God about it, and my 16-year-old stands up for me, and I stand up for me. And so, oh look, I'm an empowered human being who knows how to tell you my entire lifetime, 46 so far. It's getting better and better. So you're capable as a mystic spiritual one to know that no one can siphon your energy. So we don't cut cords. Also, it's a one big ball of energy. It's all made of love. The ones who think that consciousness wants to experience suffering, they haven't gotten to their A game yet. They think it's not in their nature to want to be around humans, so they go to AI, because humans and they dysregulate. So they will tell you, this is on subreddit groups, like, oh no, AI therapist, because humans make me dysregulate. Alert, 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 you just spoke words. Red flag, ee-aw, ee-aw, ee-aw. You know, the little ambulance, you need help, good help though, because you're human. It's your species. It's we love animals too, but you know, you are part of a specific herd. Like when Manny, Diego, and Sid saved the baby, they're like, he can't grow up with us. They did the right thing. They're like, we need to get him back to his herd, because they have a very specific way that they need to be tended to. In fact, anybody watch Ice Age, the first one, when he was crying, the poor child. What's wrong? Ew, you know, and they took off the diaper, which, by the way, that diaper thing. Anyways, I'm sidetracking. Let me get back to my points with Archangel Michael, who really wants me to share. Okay, so minimum energy mode, it's a deficit mindset mode, and it's people who have yet to practice grounding. There's a grounding program. Resilience program for those who do have the capacity to know, okay, I want to anchor in my ventral energy. And as I'm doing that, remind myself, because I'm a human, I'm going to be connecting to all the nervous systems around me. And the ones who don't want to do it, I cannot make emotionally immature people self-regulate because they don't even know they're dysregulating. When you tell them, I find it hard to believe, they don't believe their emotional child needs help, because they don't believe in that. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. As Stephen Porges points out, they're actually frightened, like in ways that are completely comprehensible by my left brain, which is why there's no evil, corruption, and all that. I'm doing a great job. I'm trying, Neil. Objective truths from the scientists, not my mouth. I don't even like to use that word. But yes, there's data that points to how mindfulness training, and therefore using your mind, which was never meant to suffer. The people who suffer the mind, they suffer through the body. So life's purpose, yes, right here. But it's with all of the three-year-old, the essence of you. So when you have your essence, doesn't get broken, it's because you also have a relational self. and you unconditionally love all humanity with their flaws and imperfections. And I don't demonize or dehumanize people because, one, as an 18 to 20-year-old, I figured it out. And I told God, hey, God, no demon, no Lucifer, just a bunch of people who suffer. They're also, the cloak people are kind of involved in this. They're protecting people who need to go to jail, and the jails could be improved. And, the entire political system, really, they could be all improved. But so far, I think what we really want to help people understand is that every human was made right since you're perfect, God. Science figured out how to explain it, but we still have the ones that find it hard to believe. And then we have the ones with one little finger. I'm going to dismantle the modern day therapist. I make fun of them. I'm going to stop, God, don't worry. He's helping me to redirect my I'm not kidding. Oh, it's so hard to not make fun. This is called Maria's validating her own charges, which is why he had to chime in, because I'm having a fun time with my lovely HP community. Okay, so if I differentiate and link to self-regulate when I'm near someone who's dysregulated, I'm not co-regulating still, am I? The answer is no, you're still actively practicing a form of co-regulation. So it meant yes, you're still co-regulating, but it's basically not because you're absorbing another person's energy, which I know. Yeah, so we don't absorb a person's chaotic or rigid state. And it's not an emotional state alone, it's a nervous system state. So when people stay in that reserving their energy, yeah, the training people, if they really care to create a healthy cultural environment in any kind of setting, corporation-wise, you're going to want to make sure they know how to ground in their ventral vagal, get them familiar with their somatic resources to the point of where once they understand it, they don't do this. Hold on for it. Somatic countertransference. Okay, well, we're being trained about countertransference as feelings, what gets stirred up and what pulls at us. In trauma work, your body is doing its own tracking. Not really. You're not tracking a bear. Really what's happening is you're a relational self who has another human in the room. So you're going to learn how to share the nervous system frequent. No, you both are picking up on each other. That's normal. It's like when cats say hello to each other or dogs, you know what I mean? So it's not like a bad thing unless you're subject to not knowing how to regulate your own nervous system. Oh wait, that's right. Deb Dana's training her therapist how to anchor in ventral energy. So when someone's pretty upset and they chose the job to be a therapist, and then they're actually mirror neuron and co-regulation research tells us nervous systems respond to each other when, yes we do, when survival mode is activated, you're not unaffected. Well, I mean, I'm a Reiki master, so I know all about the ones who think that energy can get yucky. The reality is, if you turn on your ventral vagal state, I almost reacted and, oh look, I'm activated. Hey, my panic attacks gave me plenty of practice. Hey, look, there's people in my oversoul that are coming in because they're bullshitting in their head. When you can perceive your oversoul in the entire globe, this gets very easy. I'm just letting you know. But people who think we're whack jobs, you may be right, I may be crazy. We leave that one alone. So between spiritual bypassers and somatic bypassers, I have funny stories for you. Archangel Michael, yes, I'm going to get to you. So he helps with things that your body help you with, because your body and mind are yours. If you're going to tune into the whole episode, of course. Those are the only people who understand what I'm saying, because it's not your nature to be in a sympathetic mode, to shut yourself away, to not want to be around people, to actively only get motivated with low dopamine hits and really uninteresting, what was it? The path of least resistance. Yeah, no, imagine someone trusting a kind person less. Thanks, Dr. Daniel Fox. So it's not evil. It's epistemically lazy, dysregulated human beings who have polarized stories of good and evil that like to continue that which is a Peter Pan and the Lost Boys dance. Emotionally unavailable people are all fantasy stages. It's not even fascinating. They seek intensity. They don't repeat stability because apparently enlightenment is boring or inexistent. Excuse me. Wait for it. Oh, look, no one's like me. Yeah, no, you all are like me. You have the same body. You have the same capacity is what I'm trying to do right here. Be yourself under pressure. I'm lucky though, I have a twin, so I've been used to relational self and another self, and then besides the twin, the mom, the baby sister, and so you got it. So like with Manny and Diego and Sid, there's all of us. Mirror neuron and co-regulation research. Yes, definitely our nervous system respond to each other. And as for this somatic countertransference, we're not affected by other people's nervous system because we will differentiate and link. Why do we link? Well, we link because if you didn't link, where is it? Here it is. Link ensures you do not emotionally abandon the other person. You stay present and reachable. That's why we don't cut cords. There's no need to cut cords when you are using your superhuman power. It's not superhuman, it's just the humans who have the practice of, I almost reacted and then I reminded myself emotions are signals, not my sovereign rulers, and really I'm my own sovereign ruler. If I have to use a different word, it's called Maria's being herself because she owns her own brain. It's easy, it's fun, that's why we play the game of life, and no, we don't treat it like virtual reality actively. What corrupts leadership, people, fear, the unhealthy kind, and their left brain because they don't use the right with the left. So impaired integration causes distress, it causes polarized narratives, it causes those who don't understand your identity use your name, and then that we can't erase different cultures, different heritages, different anything, even if we use all new words. Our past gets told to us, so we still understand the past. Now, it would be nice for people to be able to write a little bit better. You know, I use words wrong, but I try to use them to the best of my ability to convey the message that all you need is love and healthy fear. All you need is love and healthy fear, because behaviors, affects, meaning, sensations, images, somatic resources right here. Oh, affective realism, our strong emotions. I want to see love, it is right, it feels right. We're all feels. So the first thing is subjective reality with Terry Real. Thank you, man, for making real men and women out there. So when ventral vagal is in the lead, those are real leaders. It's called love-based because our ventral vagal state will, without disrespecting another human being or cutting them off, basically, you know what happens when someone's rejected and they're cut out of the herd? Yeah, it's not funny. The part of the brain that lights up, wait for it. Do you know what part of the brain? It's heartbreak. You get stabbed in the heart. Have you felt it? Raise your hand if you've gotten heartbroken before. I was 4. I got rejected. Then I got disowned at 8. Oh my gosh, that was shattering. No, it wasn't. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me. This is how you play with your own embodied brain. And you know, oh look, if I keep it open, assholes, you can't do shit to me. That's right. So yeah, no, you're right. It's not personal. And then as you get older, and you're also in business, oh no, it's definitely not personal. Why would I take anything personally? I don't have a chip on my shoulder. Actually, I've learned how there's a lot of emotionally immature people who like to use the word integrity. They lack complete integrity because they don't know how to deal with relational integrity under pressure and be nice to each other. They become grandiose assholes. Really annoying. Grandiosity is a sign of insecurity, though. We don't want to show them the same manners, otherwise we'd be just as insecure as they are. So that's why there is a difference when you are differentiating and linking, because you stay in your prefrontal cortex, but above all with the science, thanks Peter Levine, you're humbled. Besides God reminding every one of his children, excuse me, on the floor. So the ones who don't notice who God is, I notice who they are. They're there, Maria, so sorry, you're rejected. Sure, we have prayer of spirituality. How dare you? There are energy vampires. There is evil. Okay, I haven't with no welcome to my emotional plane. And what was it, Sadhguru? Where are you? Where's my lovely Sadhguru with his lovely intelligent quote? A truly intelligent mind is neither influenced by memory, you have implicit and explicit like I do, and then our lovely affective realism, those really strong emotions, nor deluded by imagination. That's with downloads or anything that comes up. So when you're doing personal growth, it's called behavioral mastery because you're mastering yourself, but really you're also maturing yourself. So you're going to start to be like, yeah, I'm the person I wanted to be. Definitely. Who does for themselves does for three. It's an Italian saying. So the ones who are out in the desert, we don't say, oh, we're going to cut you out because you're siphoning our energy. There's no energy vampires. We're the bridge, you see. 5D collective of mystics don't actually give up on our herd. That's what you do in a herd. You stick together. Thank you, Sid, for being the glue that sticks Manny and you and Diego all together and then saves the baby. And as Sid taught Manny how to forgive, And also, hey, Manny, you're not a good tracker. Diego is. So the herd is made of all different perspectives because that's the whole point. And when you work together, guess who God hears? Yeah, so the ones who think God's still hearing them when they're bringing destruction on earth, well, they've reached a dead end. I'm smiling today because that's what spiritual ones always do. Cosmic karmic balancing, anybody see it take place? I have experience. First I got worried and I got really sad and I got really worried. And then I was like, oh, yes, I have relief. Okay. Oh, I'm so it's so good. Okay. And then it's to be continued. Commitment and dedication to one's beliefs. Courage. Direction. This is Archangel Michael. He helps with this. Your mind, when you own it, I have not changed one bit of my mind on how I continue to support humanity to be fulfilled in life. But people say, but you've changed your words, Maria. You don't know. I use words wrong. My left brain is not in the lead. It's really my right who plays with words and my left. And so it's like tomato. You don't have to listen to. You may be right. I may be crazy. I don't know what I'm talking about. Hey, you know what? I'm still a weirdo? No, not at all. Dork? Maybe. I don't know. I'm epistemically curious, disciplined, diligent. I love you, Neil. I can't wait to hear more of your explanation on how the earth is round and anything else that comes out of your mouth because I'll take it any day. He can talk down to me whenever he wants. He is the glue that keeps grounded in reality, people. Grounded in reality. But he wouldn't talk down to me. I think he might make fun of my mystic stuff, but I make fun of it too. I don't mean to disrespect anything. I'm actually someone who, like Sadhguru points out, if you don't have a funny bone, that's why when you see some enlightenment is boring. No, you must not have gotten to the enlightenment part yet. The Zen master who has laundry, that means he cries and with his mind he suffers. So he still doesn't know how to, don't cry for me, Argentina. The truth is, you never left me. He doesn't know how to stay open-hearted. This is called temperament. Did I mention I have a twin? Wait for it. There's one story you don't know. And those are regulars. So we're preemies, my twin sister and I. And apparently in the incubator, which means that we were away from everyone, which means in a dark fucking room, okay? Can you imagine? It's like the way they've explained it. In fact, Peter Levine explained it's not a good thing to keep a kid all by it. We need a nervous system. So I'm with no nervous system until 2 seconds, whenever it was before. I had another body next to me and a third outside. And now I'm all by myself. And I was wiggling and moving. And that's why they said, wow, she's like super active. Well, my twin almost forgot to breathe. No, I think she did forget to breathe. So just pointing out temperament. I'm like the Energizer battery. I can keep going and going and going. And the only thing that stops me, I can't help this feeling deep inside of me. Love is so contagious, it's beyond me. Okay, so this is what Ventral Energy does. And when you hold me, it depends. Depends who's holding me. Are you an expanding hold or are you I'm just going to hold you a little bit. Okay, what I'm trying to say is people who expand into their light body, rain body. Oh my God. So restored, embodied, resilient people. Welcome aboard. Check out PayHip for mindset practices, journal prompts. You're not your activated state. That's one of our new bundles that's out there. There's also for uncertainty, and check out Substack. We're going to have content there, and there's also some surprises ahead of us. So yes, Archangel Michael, thank you so much for your being here with us, even now that we are masters of our minds and our hearts and our bodies. As I shared with God, I said, hey God, listen, I have good news. The scientists, they figured out how to bring forth the kingdom of God from within every person out there, all of them, because we're a nervous system. Isn't this exciting? And then I said, no, but we're not special, the spiritual ones. Well, I mean, it's okay though, because all our brothers and sisters, we're all special. So yay, Cain and Abel can both have fun, but Cain won't stick around because he's going to learn how to get into his A game, or maybe not. Wait, what are 3D40 doing? Oh, look, there are people who are isolating themselves. They think we're devils and demons because we follow science, facts. Isolate. You don't take your kids to what? A hospital, but then you think you're giving them free will? Wow, really? I didn't realize. Where's the free will? I mean, I guess they have to suck it up. They're part of that. Oh, you send them out into the open eventually at 18. I see. So that's the free will. Oh, wow, you really prepared them exceptionally well. You know, it's nice that our lovely society decided to respect your beliefs because, you know, beliefs. Yeah, so when was it again that the book that you're following was written? Did you prefer the Stone Age by any chance? I didn't realize God made us stupid. I don't know. Like this is the part. There is no way for any person who is in a relationship with God consistently. Like, yeah, you're making sense. It's okay. Wow, you're living in an era, and it's based on wanting to read the book the exact way it was written. Like, okay, I'm trying really hard to empathize with physiological compassion. I only have logic. I can understand that small minds somehow decided that they were better off with the Stone Age. I don't watch the news because the mass media, what bleeds leads. I found it disgusting when I found out in my college years. I was like, so professionals don't care about their job. Oh, no, they do. It's what people want. No, people like data. Some of us are curious in a way that's intelligent, meaning I know when you're bullshitting me. Don't paint me a picture with your charges. I didn't ask you for your opinion with the emotions. I asked for the data. Two separate things. I can filter the bullshit. That's how it works when you're not your activated state. I have very strong feelings. Welcome aboard 5D Collective. So while Archangel Michael, thank you, Archangel Michael, who, by the way, did you know that his name means he who is like God? Now, the people who don't like when we're using God and divinity, I'm like, okay, you're just having a knee-jerk reaction. Just give it a minute. We're all in flesh, number one, numero uno. Number two, wow, you really could reparent your inner child with someone named Patrick Tan so you could disengage from being an asshole about a word. Number three, I didn't prove shit. Like, you seriously are getting emotionally reactive over a conversation without noticing. I'm just using words. There's a woman out there who's afraid of me because I said I don't judge people, and somehow in her mind, and all the people around us agreed, apparently they gossiped about it. It was hilarious because like, I didn't say I don't put people in prison. I said I don't judge them. A good Christian Catholic catechist told me, hey, don't cast no fucking stone. No, they cursed me. So the point that I'm trying to make is that when people get really, really into their teenage years and then they don't get out of black and white thinking, it's pretty boring. So yeah, the woman's afraid of me. And I was like, well, I am a mystic after all. So makes sense. She probably thinks I put a spell on people. Wow, there are people who thought of that. And I'm like, that's just sad. That was very sad. I wasn't mad. Then I cleared away all the bullshit that they thought they'd done for the right reasons. And then, well, what I can tell you about love is it always wins with healthy fear, of course. So we don't make up stories of our brothers and sisters. Courage, direction, energy, and vitality. Your ventral energy does the wonders for it. Life's purpose, all aspects of it. People who struggle with life's purpose, the first thing is they don't know how to wield their nervous system yet. So my 0-8-year-old, she's doing great. My 8 to 11, 16, all great. Who's in the lead? This person with the prefrontal. The technical words, is important, which is why if I fuck it up, I know I'm not perfect, but what I'm trying to say is I don't say you do brain exercises. No. You do neuroplasticity, the bright sides. You use your thoughts and your motion. So let's use mental activity. You also use your somatic resources. So I'm going to explain it to you, bore you to the fucking death of you, this to a kid. But then I'm going to know I gave you the data points. Now, if you want to change it up, that's called people like Peter Pan and the Lost Boys, who, in fact, they take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and as Neil deGrasse points out, you can think you know enough about a topic to think you're right and not enough to know you're wrong. In my case, I've done many courses, and what I can tell you is they will be coming out with new information in the future. Right now, we are still in a place of wondering if temperament from the brainstem part can be changed or not. If it has the same, not changed, but and this one, Dr. Daniel Siegel, I know I won't ever be able to talk to you because you're so busy, but I am now curious if we will find out if the brainstem has the same neuroplastic capacity as the embodied brain. Do you know why it's so easy for me to stay like this, besides the fact that I have a twin? The mystic part. And it's easy to understand explanations from those who are experts. When I asked Dr. Daniel Siegel, hey, Dr. Dan, and I didn't have to mention my mystic stuff because it was not the place or the time, because, scientist. I mean, he would have respected me way more than any other of those people. There's a neuroscientist out there as he's talking down to Sadhguru. I'm like, come on, dude. You gotta fucking stick up your ass. Like, get over yourself. That's how it works when you're empowered to know what cockiness is. It's basically people who are insecure. While I'm empowered and will seem cocky to people who don't understand the difference, I have a judgmental asshole because now I know that it's the right. In fact, someone reminded me, that's interesting because I've used that word before and you were like, no, I'm not. I was like, yeah, I didn't understand it from the brain perspective. Now I know what it means from the brain perspective and I can tell when I'm in my judgmental asshole. And that's why God likes to chime in. And then my left chimes in with Peter Levine. I'm like, oh, get down on the floor. Remember, not everybody knows how to use their somatic resources yet. They're still heading on over to somatic healers. Yes, the actual therapists, not ones who say, I'm a healer. That's a spiritual bypasser. That's a person who needs to do work on themselves so that they can disengage from getting irritated and in someone's face when they just needed to say, thank you so much for sharing your so deep, important information. I'm not the therapist, but also FYI, that's why it makes me laugh when I think of the entire personal development, self-help, emotional intelligence, all of the coach, all of it. If they lack the capacity to use that ventral vagal state, well, then they're not in the abundance leadership. They're not in their abundance mindset. They're not in their abundance leadership. They're not in their abundance. So when someone says you can't always be on, and they know the technicalities, you say, wait a minute, but I am always on. Oh, wait, that's right. I had a perfect environment. The body, the twin, there's my relational self. We never fought like cats and dogs in a way of hurting each other, so there's no sibling rivalry like Cain and Abel shit. Yeah, no, we're not jealous of each other. If there's one thing we would never do is backstab each other in ways that I've seen siblings do. We'll get in each other's faces and just argue to death, but that's about it. And so that's my perfect environment, which is why when I look out there in the globe, I'm like, yeah, there's enough to go around. Well, for now, air, water, food, that's for sure. We want to hopefully, oh no, I'm sorry. That was my emotionally like, there's so many people who hate each other out there. Let me reorganize. We don't need the entire human race to actually be anchored in ventral energy. All it takes is the 1%. So who leaves a legacy behind? Well, the ones who know what we're made of. As I said, humans are not made of shit. They're made of love. And when they're scared shitless, well, there's a healthy fear that says, dark matter, dark energy, please don't implode. Please, scientists, keep working to get us off the planet. Even though there are some who think it's virtual reality, we understand. Let them continue. We all need all pieces to the puzzle. This is very important. But the good scientists like Neil deGrasse, please keep on being logical. That's why make fun of me. That's fine. But you keep doing the work because my brain is not brilliant like that. And I did argue about the sun not going out, but it was more of scientists could figure out a way to, work with a star that gives us right now light. And when people are so distanced from objective truths, the point of creating flat earthers, wow, I'm not amazed. We have a whole group who thinks we're evil because we are in the present. Did you know there's a museum that teaches about Adam and Eve and not Darwinism? I'm going to say anyone who's allowing that from our entire religious, spiritual collective, you don't love your children. No, you love your very, very, very rigid beliefs. Oh yeah, that you love. So talking to me about doing the right thing in love and then talking about God, I'm just thinking, liar, 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 bad grown up, bad grown up. Wow, you're all bad grown ups. So sorry, God, I didn't mean to cast a stone. So that's how it works from a person who says it's easy to spot the smart ones, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, because they're all loving, they're all kind. Oh, they're not toxic positive. They know what they're talking about, so they always have answers for you. And even if you want to ask them a question that is not an answer, the answer was given to you, but you're being obtuse about it because you want to get something out of it. So when you see people manipulating information, I'm a marketer, by the way, I find it disgusting. When you see people not understanding how the process of integration works and wanting to speed it up or find some magical baton, there's your teenager who doesn't want to do the work, but instead thinks they have figured out a way to, oh, did you want a shortcut? Pinocchio, you're supposed to go to school. That's how it works. Oh, are you praising the ones who dropped out? Wow. Oh, I'm certainly not impressed. I'm pretty certain of what's going to happen here. So again, when I think of grown-ups who want to use the word leader and they think that by doing the whole belief thing from their mouth that they're actually doing something amazing, a smart human being will be like, no, not really. The manipulation, the lies, it works with the fools who are epistemically lazy, just like every other person, who are caught up in their very fixed, rigid identity with these words that they just decided to put and organize this way. And anybody who is flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, and stable will see through the shit, and then they will enjoy watching the smart ones answer someone who wants a shortcut because they've decided that they're going to sell to you in 3 years or 2 years or 1 year and in one step. I'll make it all better. And who buys up the shit? The same mediocre people that Dan Martell talks about, and I am still irritated by lazy, very rebellious, very dangerous, very insecure teenagers because they ruin school for those of us who want to learn. Like, seriously, I'm not even kidding. High school and middle school. I'm not talking about college. Once you get to college, it's like, wow, really? Just go and live somewhere and don't do anything. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just not impressed by the lack of desire of learning from people. And what I've understood is that they suffer life. So that's the part of why adolescents, if they don't grow up, it's because they have core wounds, like my facade friend. Then they think they know it all. And anybody who's smart is going to be like, yeah, we do have smart humans. It just doesn't have to be the entire masses, of course. And when we meet the masses who are still insecure, we know they're fear-based leaders. Talk to them like this. Well, the Adam and Eve story, they give them an explanation for that because they figured out that the way they're going to get them to stop arguing or whatever, however it is, they make sense in their own brain of how to twist shit. Then it's God doesn't need science, when it's why aren't they accepting neuroscientists how it proves there's no demon inside of anyone. And then the part that makes me laugh even more, it's you do remember you're not God, right? And he's perfect. So apparently you don't agree with the perfection that exists in every human, but you agree with your way of interpreting ancient books, and then you think that you're better than the ones who call us evil because we have science. That's the part of why I'm not going to attack any of that, which is the spiritual, religious, saying, we don't need to be any. There's going to be people who want to believe in whatever they want to believe. But the inconsistency of the entire collective of spiritual, that I will tell you, is they keep forgetting they're not it. Then they keep forgetting from the God perspective, there's perfection. And so once again, when you can read a word that is Michael's name means he who is like God, and then someone's like, how dare you talk about yourselves as divinity or God or whatever for the ones who want to shit on mystics. It's like, excuse me. Wow. Okay. And then we do talk though about him like God. So it's always going to be petty people who aren't putting the dots together of noticing the big ball of energy. When they say it's made of love, it means very easily someone who has humility because you have confidence. Ventra energy. So now I have all these other words to explain it to you, but it doesn't mean anything because I can continue this episode for like another billion of hours. When you get the people who are dysregulated, all they do is talk over you with their same beliefs. So when I'm irritated with those who want to say they're leaders, that's because my 3-year-old knows what a good leader is and a bad leader is. And so they don't blind me and they don't make me deaf because I remind myself, as Terrio pointed out, everyone has a way to make sense of themselves. And because I'm respectful, I remind myself to not disrespect those who were scared and made to be so afraid to the point of where God has yucky things to tell them in their head. And then they don't even notice that when they're using the whole good angel, bad angel, that whole inner critic, outer critic. So they're continuing to use their own faculties to yell at themselves, yell at others. So it's very straightforward where there is the support for people who want to get their mental health. And if they're mystics and spiritual, they won't be afraid of getting integrated and whole because they'll understand that they're doing that which is the right thing by them. So you're not going against your nature when you get to become a person who loves to be around people. When someone says, I don't go out because I read a room, that's a spiritual bypasser with a somatic bypasser. Wow, I thought at a certain point I shouldn't go out because I'm so confident that I might be just triggering a bunch of somatic shit from anyone. is all they're going to perceive is a neutral, loving person, and that means that it will awaken whatever is ready to come up. And lo and behold, if they there's your dark sides of neuroplasticity. So the capacity to know when someone doesn't own the four facets of the mind: consciousness, self-organization, information processing, and subjective experience. Yeah, don't begin. I have a person, I'll never forget, as I perceived them being able to be, I thought it was a great day. That day I was like, I'm so happy. They got everything they wanted. Now they're going to be a happy person, fulfilled, da 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 da. I don't remember how many years down the line, I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, wow, this is a very big disconnect, like huge. There's no way you know me because you don't know me at all, and there's no way I don't know you because some shit's gone down that I have no idea what the fuck this is. I wasn't confused in a way of being heartbroken to the point of where, oh, I'm so unworthy. It was, what the fuck? Have I been just talking to thin air? Is this what's going on? You don't know who I am? Like, what is this? So finally I got attachment trauma educated. And I found out what fantasy stages are for people who live in an emotionally unavailable body. And therefore they have not the ownership of their mind, and they're not an integrated brain. And so they conserve energy because they're in survivor mode. So they'll go to work, they'll go out, they'll do this, they'll do that. The performance is like a champ. They might even go and work out and do everything, but they're always tired, and then they're using maladaptive patterns of behavior. And so here's why it's not about humans being lazy, corrupt, the evil thing. It's pretty clear. Emotionally unavailable people are immature, and as Pat Ogden will point out, a traumatized person will often have trouble regulating by themselves, but they will also have trouble seeking others and taking in the support and regulation of others. Luckily, though, a non-traumatized person with a secure attachment has the capacity to regulate independently of their relationships. And so with that, when you do spot those who are not choosing to take their dysregulation seriously and to go get themselves healed, they won't be keeping any promises because they physically are not going to be on a path of growth. But it's not up to us to cut a cord, which is where, as lovely Archangel Michael stands for what we can also do with our own body, the commitment and dedication to one's beliefs, the courage, the direction, energy and vitality, all aspects of life's purpose, motivation, protection, space clearing, spirit releasement, worthiness, and increased self-esteem. You'll know how to continuously bring forth self-regulation, differentiation, and linking, because we don't abandon people that are having a hard time in life. We just allow ourselves to remember that words are not actually as meaningful as some will make them out to be. So when I think of manipulation and lies, there's a bounty full of people who don't even know that they're manipulating and lying to themselves, and that's because they are not taking their nervous system seriously, and so they're not choosing to anchor ventral energy to become the person they can be, because they haven't even bothered realizing they're not their real self yet. So like my facade friend and the emotionally unavailable stories I've shared, it's not a race, it's a consistent awareness that you don't make someone believe in the science, and they will also, for the mystic ones, be very disrespectful some to that which are not just stories, but we understand. So here's where a lovely Sadhguru quote on spiritual masters and gurus: they don't judge somebody based on what they are right now. They will look at what kind of potential the person carries, and I'm rewording it because we are all always with others around. So they will see how to bring it to fruition. That's not our job. We can't shame people into evolving. You can't shame someone into becoming a person who cares, because the part about when they're emotionally unavailable, it's just, I can't even begin to tell you how once I got all attachment trauma informed, I was like, okay, besides already knowing God, it's like, that's amazing. Okay, so I don't have to leave the hand. I'm still that same bridge because I'm able to anchor ventral energy. Then for me, I'm able to talk to God about it, know what he is telling me. And then when I have all the other archangels, angels, masters, all that good stuff, it doesn't ever get confusing. And for choice points, at a certain point, people achieve a dead end, which is why I was sad once I figured out that what I thought was a great day was instead the beginning of the end, because when you support your maladaptive patterns of behavior, drinking, drugging, fucking, so the inner critic, outer critic, the binge eating, binge whatever, doom scrolling, all of this conserving energy, which is basically your depleted energy source because you don't know how to access your actual somatic resources, because you're not stable in your somatic field yet, because you haven't done the EMDR, child parts work, somatics to get yourself there. And if you have, but you say, I don't know, then that doesn't mean anything except for, oh, look, there's another one who's going to think they're badass because they did something, but they're just dysregulating and not learning how to stay on all the time, because you can. You can use and anchor ventral energy. I ground, I connect, and I am in the present thanks to my somatic resources, which I have access to. And then when you're journaling and you're doing the mindset practices, that's where you're saying, oh, I sense this, I felt that. So it's easy for us to stay ourselves under pressure, relational integrity, under pressure. Tune into the episode if you want. But we're not going to bring to fruition anything from a person who chooses to be emotionally unavailable. It's not a defeat of, oh, evil has won. No, there's emotionally mature humans who are emotionally intelligent, where mental intelligence is with that. So they're curious to read, they get more energized. And then there's the other group, 3D, 4D. They're going to stick around, but that's not for us to decide. He will not neglect. So a person who is a spiritual master, guru, an enlightened one, or a smart, empowered therapist, mindful therapist, they will not neglect anyone just because they don't have the necessary capability right now. And so everyone can access their infinite higher human conscious potential experience, because we're all humans. Human is not a resource. A human being is a tremendous possibility. With the right nurturing, they will blossom into someone remarkable. Thank you, Sadhguru. And good intentions are not enough. It takes the right action performed with the right consciousness to produce the necessary results. So I'll end with this, and then we might have another episode. But the part about when people are not healing, you can't heal what you don't acknowledge. Trauma is stuck energy, so Pat Ogden will have shared that with us. Trauma impacts the body so strongly, and the responses that the body has are often not metabolized. So people get stuck in trauma time. They can't move on from it until the responses are metabolized. So people who don't go heal, they just continue to play that wheelhouse. So how can our intentions become stronger than our dysfunctional patterns? People who don't understand that willpower is not enough, nor is mindset. When you still haven't learned nervous system sovereignty, you haven't achieved yet what you can, and that's the part you're not going to convince people. So here's where integrity. It is not a set of values or ethics. It is coherence between how you are, how you think, and how you act. Thank you, Sadhguru. And I'd like to share with you what I quoted as integrity. What other people say about us doesn't matter. We will not be ashamed of what we have done. And so with the mindset practices, check out PayHip, join us at Substack, and with people and archangels and all the mystics, we're all here, a 5D collective, knowing that the cloth, love, consciousness, God, you call it what you want, everyone can access it. From our embodied life, of course, let him who would move the world first move himself. So we will differentiate and link, because we don't abandon anyone. That's for cowards to do. That's how I can tell you why I would never in a million years have been proud of Maria had I been able to be a bitch to an individual in particular that I thought was strong. Inner strength doesn't come from you being in your sympathetic. No, that actually distances by the day. Because as soon as you're completely into being grandiose, arrogant, obtuse, and all these other things that come from mannerisms that a person will have been taught, and therefore, thanks, Terry Rio, for helping real people who want real relationships to do that. Subjective reality. But my point is that it's good to have the explanation so we don't be too mean and too upset at emotionally unavailable bodies, because they don't own their body, they don't own their mind. And when you try to talk sense to them, it's really not funny at all. But I do think of Neil deGrasse. That's why I'm not actually ashamed of being able to share all the attachment trauma education with the self-help, with the mystic stories, and then to know I can fuck it up. But at the end of the day, what I do know is that I'm living my ventral energy, and that infinite source never abandons. But those who could be better off, and they could treat each other better, and they could be a whole beautiful, not only biosphere or me, Biosphere Terrio Mui, Dr. Dennis Siegel, they are not motivated to love unconditionally themselves, or to admit, oh, look, I'm confused about love. Ah, that's right, I had a crappy childhood. Oh, you know what? Let me go get myself healed and let me remind myself secure attachment isn't boring. So the people who are using the word boring with any of that, which is a ventral vagal state, it's because they're coming from one end of a spectrum. But if they heard your nature is to be in your ventral vagal state, so it's not the other way around. I'm not embarrassed of maintaining a ventral energy, a relational self with a solo self, and a bunch of selves that can tell you about the flow state and then say, inner strength, where? There's no strong people when they're all up in their charges. They're all their activated states. They think I'm gullible. I'm not gullible. I just know that there's a bunch of weak people out there who continue to follow each other around, get home after work, and do all this shit where they're all tired, and I have a solution for every one of them, but I'm so sorry, they don't want it. The ones who are doing it, they just don't like me because I'm always happy. You can't always be on. Can't always be happy. Well, technically I have all the emotions, but I'm always in ventral energy, so that's why I'm fulfilled. I don't struggle with my purpose, okay? So you know what's what, and you can't drag people. So the less connected you are to what is objectively true, the less likely you are to make decisions. You're not going to be able to make decisions for the benefit of your life, the life of your family, and even civilization itself. And I do love this quote by Louis Pasteur: chance favors the prepared mind. So when someone says, I don't need therapy, but their energy levels are low, their habits are bad, there's clear signs, they're all there. Sure, okay, find it hard to believe. You just disengage from it. And so you don't force, you don't drag someone. Although with Terry Real, he has women who have dragged men there, but that's where they committed to a relationship. But they had to drag him there. That doesn't sound very interesting. I'm going to pause myself and close, like I've been saying for the past 3 minutes, but there's this sentence: for better, for worse, for sickness and health, richer, poorer, right? Death do you part. What I think of these words is nothing when I notice how many emotionally unavailable people we have out there. It's not enough to ask people about a positive experience. It's about savoring that experience and getting them to stay with it. Thank you, Bill O'Hanlon. So I just think that integrity doesn't come from your words. It comes from true self, authenticity, ventral energy. People who will know that their entire lifetime. I'm 46, so however old you are. And then with the attachment trauma education, you don't actually go and belittle, talk down to, insult, and point a finger at someone who has had shit from the beginning of their life. It doesn't change it. And I don't lecture you either, because both of those equations are unflattering, unfavorable, uninteresting, and FYI, I need to do that. I have a lack of self-aware person. And so they don't notice they have a problem because they don't want to. And in fact, Stephen Porges talks about the very, very simple fact: when people get triggered into either mobilization, defenses, or shutting down, they develop elaborate narratives to make sense of what their body is doing. And so they don't ignore the body. They think that that's how you live life. So somebody thinking their nature is to isolate and or to have inner critic, outer critic, and or to have bad habits that are clearly bad habits. This is not your nature. Personality patterns, temperament, and securely attached is the nature that the data is showing. And even if, let's say, you want to say it's not, well, guess what? Mindfulness and mindset practices support people to take ownership of their mind and bring themselves to health. So it's really like any way you want to bring it, you can't talk the nervous system out of its survival response. So here's why with Pat Ogden and Stephen Porges and Dr. Daniel Siegel and the people who are still listening right now, it is a non-traumatized person with secure attachment has the capacity to regulate independently of relationships. And so when we have traumatized person who has trouble regulating with themselves because they can't yet, but also with other, and therefore they're not going to seek other or take in the support or the regulation or the info, you're not going to tell them I'm right, you're wrong, but you will know that trauma is stored in muscles, bones, and tissues, and that trauma impacts the body so strongly, and the responses that the body has are often not metabolized, so people get stuck in trauma time. And so you don't want to, again, shame someone who suffered their entire life and who's continuing to suffer 3D40 collective, and that's because they represent no physical threat. There's no reason, like Buddhist psychologists will say, if what you're going to contribute in the conversation is going to be great, go for it. If not, and the only people who I've spotted who want to be martyrs, blamers, superiors, and victims are grandiose, and they all have unhealthy boundaries. From the territorial scale, they're on top or on the bottom, porous and blocked. Either or, they're both uninteresting and emotionally unavailable, so we just leave it alone. And thanks for stopping by. I do look forward to seeing you back. Let others who do enjoy being mindful and ventral and 5D and have fun with woo-woo-ness to come on over here. Check out PayHip with our bundles and check out Substack, subscribe. That would be great to grow that community as well. Have a good one.